Good evening, and today is Ace 2 of Spades. So we fold to the cutoff, who limps, and it's on us. So cutoff, I have 81 hands. He's played 27-1. He does not seem to be an aggressive player in the cutoff. He's played 5 hands, has not raised any of them at all. He had the opportunity to raise first in 4 times, and he chose not to do that. He's had the opportunity, all these times, and he has not raised first in. So this may be either like an extremely tight player when it comes to raising, or he's just scared. So he's playing about 30% of hands, and that's probably uh, maybe something like this. All right, so we'll go with that. I think we're going to be playing our regular button range versus a limper. We're going to be raising probably 4 big blinds, although um, this player does seem to be loose. I only have 20 hands on him, so unless he demonstrates that he does call a lot, then I think a 4 big blind raise is okay. Maybe a 5 big blind raise. I don't think it benefits us to raise to 6 or 7. So just 4 to 5 will have position throughout the hand. I do make that raise. Both players fold, and then villain calls. So we're going to go back to villain for a second and say most players will raise aces plus kings plus ace king. So I think we're gonna have him raise those. Even at 1%, we're looking probably at like just kings plus. I think that's gonna be okay. So let's get our hands on our sheet. So this is 26.1%. We have 346 hands. We're going to have 31.2 hands, 414 combos. Just our standard button range. And then we see a flop of 10 of spades, 7 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. So this is a pretty dry board. Probably doesn't hit him. And yeah, it could, but overall, uh, when you just look at his range, it's top pair plus is you know maybe 30%. Uh, when you factor in draws, open end straight draws, there's no flush draws out there. You're looking at him calling here 28.7%. That's what he's looking at. If we add in just basically any, let's say, middle pair plus and our gut shots, it adds 47%. So I think there's going to be a lot of hands where we can bet just as a bluff and expect to take the pot down. Now on this board, he does have the equity edge just a little bit. 53.7. He has the equity edge just a little bit. And I think the reason being is that he has more of these middle cards here, like the tens, because he has offsuits. We don't. We don't have those offsuits in our range, so I think he has that equity because he's more likely to have top pair. Now, our plan is if he checks, we can easily bet and plan to fire a second barrel because any jack, queen, king, or ace is going to be beneficial. I think a 7 is going to call, and if we fire a second barrel, I can't imagine a 7 is going to continue, or at least maybe 7. If a 7 does continue, we have another shot at getting that overcard that'll probably get him to fold to a river bet. So what does villain do? I think he checks, and we're just going to have him check his entire range. Now, if we bet, I do think he's probably going to call. At least top pair and probably open ended straight draw. I can't imagine Gutshot's going to call, so I think he's calling something like this. 28.7, he's folding 70% of the time. This should be an auto profit spot. I think we're going to be betting basically 100% of our range here. And I know that seems strange, but I think that's just kind of what we're going to do. He's folding so frequently that we're just going to capitalize on 100% bet. Our bets are going to have to be at least half pot. I think this could be, if we think he'll call more frequently, if we bet half pot relative to 2/3, then we can always just go to 2/3. But player like this, I think go half pot or 2/3, they're going to fold at the same frequency. So I bet half pot, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to bet half pot with my entire range here. That is going to put me at a disadvantage if he calls, because I have a bunch of hands that are junk. So what does he do? He calls, and I'm going to say he only calls with that range. So you can see just immediately that he has equity advantage over me. He has 88 combos. We have 380 combos. We are going to be overfolding on our turn. So 8 of diamonds hits. Now, of the hands that connected, or that he called with, you can see it doesn't really change top pair much. I mean, if he has top pair over pair, that's, he still has that. I do think this has helped his his draws. So open-ended straight draw, he's possibly added a flush draw, maybe even added a gut shot. Especially if he had the top pair hands. So Jack 10 specifically. That 8 now says, hey, I can call top pair and I can still have a gut shot. So what does he do? He checks, and now I think we have to really kind of tone back. I think if we bet, he's still gonna probably call the same type of hands. He may even call with his gut shot now. So I think if we bet, he's going to be calling 100% of the time. So that means we're not going to be betting all of our cards. Now, what cards could we call and could we bet and get value from? I think we can definitely do top pair plus. I think that's going to be for value. I wouldn't say nines, although I think with betting nines, that is actually part of our draw. So these straight draws, I think that's where that pocket pair below the top pair is going to come into play. I think we could bet a flush draw as well. Open-ended straight draw, flush draw. I don't really like the gut shot because we're drawing to basically 4 outs, and I don't think Villain has enough cards in his range for us to justify betting those. So you can see just with this, we're at 46.97% equity. He has 43. Maybe we get rid of some of these draws and just say we're going to bet for value on all of those, and maybe the flush draw, or maybe the open-ended straight draw. Maybe just one of those. So I mean that gives us mostly value. That gives us mostly value. I'm kind of thinking maybe the flush draw is what we bet, because if he calls and then another diamond comes, I don't know if he can call as much. So, and I'd be tempted just to say we're going to be betting all of this. I don't like betting no made hands here, because if I think he is going to be calling at a super high frequency. And I think betting with these draws is also just going to be kind of questionable for us. So even if we do those draws, we have to have a plan. And I think maybe we pick up some equity if we had hit like an ace or a king or a queen, possibly. I think that's going to be my betting range. And I checked. So we're going to say we have something like that. And I like the flush draw because, you know, we would be betting with our diamonds, and now we've picked up equity in the form of, you know, possibly our backdoor flush draw. All right, so we're going to do this. Take those out and say that is my checking range. And oops, we didn't do that. That's 8 of diamonds. So yeah, I think he was going to check call. So my range is equity is 22.4. No big surprise because we had such a wide range to begin with. And then we check behind, which I think it's okay because I remember my hand, but overall, sometimes you just have to you know, check behind and give up. That turn card didn't really help us a whole lot. We were betting to try to get folds, and he called, so I think he has this beat most of the time. So his range is still 100% of his range. Number of combos is 86. And then we get to the river, 9 of hearts. And that can actually work to our advantage a little bit. My equities range 27.3, theirs is 72.7. So that's just straight up. When we look at his range, he's definitely his top pair, you know, 44% of the time. The question is, can we get him off top pair? We hit a straight 31.9% of the time. So what does he do? He checks. So with that check, I'm not sure a straight is going to check. I think a straight it might bet. I do think a set's gonna check. 2 pairs gonna check. So I think that is his checking range right here. So he's that's their checking range, which is 78% and 64 combos. And this is us. So I'm gonna say straight. We're betting for value. Because I think if we bet the straight, I think he's going to be calling with a set and 2 pair. Overpair and top pairs, question marks. So the overpair is queen. I think a lot of people will call that because they have the overpair and think, well, maybe I had, you know, a 10, but, you know, this is 4 to a straight on the board. Could I get him to fold this top pair? I think yes. So right now he's got 78%. If I bet, I think I can get him to fold 56% of the time. How much could I bet to get, you know, how much do I have to bet to get him to fold? And this is where it would be useful to really know the player. Is he more likely to view a big bet as a big hand? Or is he going to view big bet as total bluff? So it's on us. And I kind of think that if we're going to make this bet, we've got 31% for the straight. I kind of think we need about 15%. So out of our nothing hand, I just feel like the ace high. Let's see here. What hands kind of block or hands that he could have called with? Or what hands keep some of his stuff in there? I think it's kind of like the nothing hands. I think this is kind of the hands that we should be bluffing with along with our straight. because it allows the aces to stay out there. Obviously, he called so he could have, like the ace 7, ace 8, ace 9, maybe ace 10. I think he could fold those. Maybe a bet something like that, and that means weak pair and ace high. I just get checked. We give up on those. Let's see what it looks like. So we've already kind of picked out. If I bet and he calls, so it's 56. He'll fold 56% of the time. So we'll do this. So if I bet pot, and I think we have to bet at least pot here. 18.6, I'm going to win that 56% of the time. And then the other 44% of the time, now I'm going to bet and get called. All right, let's take that out. So if I do that, if I bet and get called, we are ahead. So maybe, let's do maybe 200%. Let's just do all the hands. So we bet, and 32% of the time, we will win what's in the pot plus another 18.6 because that was our bet. And then the other 68% of the time, 68% of the time, 0.68, we will lose our 18.6 bet. So we stand to profit about 10. So yeah, maybe the play is just to go ahead and bet everything because we think he's going to be folding it more than 50%. If he doesn't, that changes the game. So if he calls with all of his 10s, then I think we are dealing with you can see it doesn't change. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Because we said that. Let's calculate the 100%. So he already checked, and then he's gonna go with 100% of the time. So 100% of the time, then out of that, it's 32 and 68 again. So 32% of the time, we will win 18.6 plus another 18.6. And then the other 68% of the time, we will lose 18.6. So that is a losing proposition. So yeah, it comes down to that top pair. If he's going to call the top pair, then we can't. I don't think we can do 100% anymore. We can't do 100%. We have to have it so that if we get called, we're going to win at least 50% of the time. So this might be our best shot. Nothing and our straight. We could do nothing and all of our ace highs, and that kind of gives us, it makes it indifferent. We're 50-50 at that point. That's going to be the easier thing to remember. What did I do? I actually checked here. So he shows sevens, trip sevens, and that is in his range. I had it, and I lost. I had one of these ace high hands, ace 2, right? So we had it. I don't think he's going to fold trips to a bet, so I saved money in that regard. But I do think that this could have been a spot where if he really does have that top pair, we might show some profit by betting here with our straights and then with maybe the ace high hands. All right. So if you like this, look tomorrow for another hand.